Hello students. In last lecture, we had picked about fundamentals of operating system, different type of systems, system calls. Now today we are going to start our new topic, that is process management. So let's see what are different topics we are going to see under the umbrella of process management. So the first topic which we will see, that is what is program and what is process. Further, we will pick that how we represent process in memory, what is actual representation of process inside our memory. And once I'll say memory, it means the primary memory, which is our RAM, random access memory. Then, after completion of that representation aspect, we will move to the state transition diagram, means how processes move from start to the end, or how processes perform their journey from its start to completion. What are different states they move? So we are going to study all those stuff into process state transition diagram. Then we will move that once we want to execute multiple processes, then definitely if I am having one CPU, then I need to schedule processes in certain ways so that I can execute multiple processes. So how to schedule my processor, we are going to deal and understand those stuff into CPU scheduling. Next, we will have a brief idea about multiprocessing. What is architecture, symmetric multiprocessing, asymmetric multiprocessing, different types of migrations, affinity. We are going to study all those topics into multiprocessing system. Then we move into synchronization, that when two processes get executed into the system, how they get synchronized to perform any specific task. And finally, we will move into the deadlock aspect, that if one resource demanded by multiple processes, then how it can be given in such a way that all processes can achieve their task without making any kind of deadlock or infinite waiting. So all those uh, stuff we are going to study in process management thing. So we are going to start first of all the most primary aspect of process management, that what is process and what is program. So this is our today's topic, program and process. We are going to pick that what is actually program and what is actually process. So let's see what is program. Once we code anything or once we write uh, anything, we call that this is my program. So what is actually a program? Program is a piece of code. So is program is the thing which is providing us result? The answer is not directly. It is a passive entity. Once program get executed, it performs or it provides certain tasks. Program itself do not provide anything. So program is a passive entity, and where it resides in the hard disk. Where you store your programs? You store your programs into the hard disk. So that is our program, which is a piece of code. Once we execute that program, then it provides a certain result. And suppose there is one program which we generally, what we do, we first of all compile it and then we run it. So once we run that program, then it becomes a process. So what is actually process? Program in execution is known as process. Now, what do we mean by execution? So, what happened actually that once you double click any program, it gets loaded into main memory. First of all, it is in hard disk. Once you want to execute any program, it first of all gets stored into the memory, which is our main memory. Always remember that in all my lectures, once I am calling memory, it means primary memory, which is RAM. So whenever you want to run anything, you need to put all those things, or you need to load all those things into main memory, which is in RAM. So same thing applicable for program also, that if you want to run any program, what you need to do, you need to load that program into memory, and that is the thing which is known as process. So what we can say, a program in execution is known as process, or the process refers to the program code that has been loaded into a computer's memory so that it can be executed. That who execute the process? CPU execute the process. Now what is actually execution? That once program get loaded into memory, then definitely to perform any task, it requires certain kind of computation, and that computation is done by CPU. So from RAM, it takes data, or CPU takes data and do certain kind of calculation which is required. So one more thing, be careful. One program can have multiple processes. For example, I have one program which is having three functions: add, multiply, and subtract. Now, all three functions can work individually. Hence, there is a possibility that my program, which is a piece of code, get divided into three different processes. So that is, sometimes it is called that a process is an instance of program running on a computer. So be careful why there are certain books where it is written that instance of program running. The reason that it's not necessary that whole program is always a single process. So a program becomes a process when loaded into memory, and thus it is an active entity. Who is performing the task? The process is performing all the tasks. Hence, process is an active entity and program is a passive entity. So let's compare program and process. Let's take one example, and that is one small code which says that there are certain lines written, main int a z equal to 1, then there is a for loop, and that loop have z equal to z multiplied by I. Now if I want to know that what is program and what is process, then how I can distinguish between these two by using this example. As you can say, that in this one, that program, what is it? It is a program containing one multiplication statement, that is z is equal to z star I. But the process will execute this z is equal to z star I 100 times by using the previous line, that is the for loop. So with respect to program, Z is equal to Z star I is single line. But with respect to process, this line will get executed for 100 times. So that is the primary difference between program and process. Now, I have provided a complete table with for various differences with respect to different parameters. There is a possibility that once you will see those parameters, you will find that there are certain parameters which are quite same. Yes, they can be same. It's only a way of representation, specifically for your write-up exams where you require multiple steps for answering or for increasing the answer. So, to be true, that is the only thing for, for which I have made so many parameters. Otherwise, you can combine those parameters and you will get to know that there are certain lines which mean the same thing, like the first one, an executing part of a program is called a process. Then what is nature of process? The process is an instance of program being executing. Now definition and nature both are same. Now, what about resource management? Definitely, the resource management with respect to process is very high, but in program, it only require memory for storage. It do not have anything to do with resource management. Now, what is resource? Resource is that you want CPU, you want memory address, you want hard disk, you want IOs, you want to do several things. uh, as you can see in required process, uh, third last one, you will get that process holds resources like CPU, memory addresses. So you can combine resource management with a required process to get one more effective parameter. So these are different parameters. On the basis of that, you can differentiate between process and program. So that is for today. We had picked that what is process and what is program. In next class, we will move further. That is representation of process and how to represent process in memory. So that's it for today.